Hello and welcome to Profiles in Risk. This is your severely sleep deprived host and overly caffeinated host, Tony Cañas. And today I have with me Kyle Bartee, founder and CEO at Aviation. Today I have with me Kyle Bartee, founder and CEO at Aviator Ops Ally. That was the hardest part of today's show. Aviator Ops Ally. And my new friend from the last few months. So Kyle, number one, thank you for joining me today. How's it going?
Great. How about you?
Awesome. So you've kind of come in my perception in my perception of the insurance industry. We've been connected since 22, so it's been 3 years, just about 3 years. But you've kind of like appeared in my awareness of the industry in the last few months, and then we've had conversations at a couple of conferences, and then it turns out your kid is a magician, and so we had a conversation over that, and I'm kind of pointing him in the right direction as a magician, and that's super exciting for me, hopefully for him too. uh and then yeah, we just kind of become friends over the last, I don't know, few months. uh and uh we'll talk about your background. Okay, you are in Albuquerque, New Mexico. uh
Correct.
I just
Hence my background.
what's that?
Hence my background.
Beautiful. And we're recording on June 30th, 2025. The kind of like most of the country was covered in this giant heat wave last week. Maybe we still are. I haven't been paying attention. But Atlanta, Georgia, where I lived last week, was unbelievably hot. I just kind of hid indoors. Then Wednesday, I did a back and forth to New York, and in New York, you can't hide from the heat. My God, it was awful. Like New York had like 97-degree and humid, or it's just unlivable. And then to escape the heat of New York and Georgia, I went to Las Vegas in summer, which was 109 degrees but dry, right? And I rented a
Absolutely.
convertible to celebrate the heat. And actually, like, it turns out that at like an average temperature of 105, Las Vegas is not bad, right? So New Mexico today, Monday, June 30th. I'm guessing you guys have been cooking for the last little while.
A little bit. We did have some rain, and I just got rain barrels installed, so that was nice. Now I'm watering plants with the recaptured rain, but we
Beautiful.
actually, during our heat wave, we went on a vacation to escape the heat in the hottest part of New Mexico. So as we were driving, we saw the temperature creeping up 105, 106. It got all the way up to 109. And we went to White Sands, which is one of the hottest places in New Mexico,
So this is like Death Valley, New Mexico edition.
basically.
All right. Well, I am glad we both survived our hot adventures. Now, I don't know how long you've been in New Mexico, but you're from Texas originally, so you're used to the heat. Uh,
Correct.
okay. New Mexico is one of the very few states I have not visited. I think I have maybe like 9 states left, but I'm assuming that New Mexico is very Arizona-like and very Nevada-like since you're like right there.
Absolutely.
So just a desert, basically.
Yep.
Okay, so dry heat. Fantastic. All right. So Kyle, we always give the guest the chance to give the elevator pitch.
Okay.
What is Aviator Ops Ally?
So basically, it's an app. And the origin story of that is we were going to start as an insurance company. And after going to a conference in April in Florida, where it was starting to get hot, it was very clear that me and my executive team were not going to be successful as an insurance company unless we had a way to get into the market. And
quick, quick,
because
quick,
we,
quick pause. Since I'm an insurance company, not only insurance nerd, but insurance conference nerd. Was
yes,
that the Florida advisory that Nick Lamparelli runs, the nonprofit, or what was the conference?
It was the AIA, the Aviator Insurance Association.
Have never been to that one. If you guys listen to this, I would love, love. You need a magician, you need a speaker, you need a podcaster. I would love to be there. Continue, Kyle.
Absolutely. This is a great group of people. Like I thought actuaries were close knit. Aviators in the insurance space are super close. It's really
I
awesome.
I am a flight simulator nerd who has only not pursued his private pilots because I hate heights. And I feel very safe in a Boeing because I fly a lot. And it turns out I don't feel very safe in a Cessna.
All
So I
right. So
love the
then,
idea if of getting my private pilots. When I did the discovery flight, I am not yet ready for the reality of being in a tiny little Cessna that is more than 10 feet above the ground, right? But I love aviation. I love insurance. I would love to be there. Guys, give me a call. Send me a message. Have your people do my people, right? Have your people call my people, kind of thing.
absolutely.
Let's do something together. Anyway, so you guys go to the conference with the idea of becoming an insurance company, and what happens?
So we find all these tech vendors, and they all have these solutions for problems that aviators experience, private aviators, not commercial, just private. And we discovered that there's no real solution that covers all of these things. There might be an app that does one thing, or there might be an app that does another thing. But we decided in that moment that we needed to build an app company so that we can have all of these pain points that an aviator experiences between the time they park their car at the airport to the time that they're taking off in the plane. Each one of those things that keeps them from being able to take off is a pain point because aviators only want to fly. And so if we can build an app that will solve all of those pain points, which there are several, then we would have a a marketing arm through this app for the insurance company. And the reason for that is the insurance industry for aviators is so not like auto in the way that you can't just download an app and get a quote in 5 minutes. A lot of times, people will have to fill out an application via paper. They'll have to get their logbook, which they have on paper, add up all of the hours that they have flown and for which type of plane, write that down on a piece of paper, or even fill out a form online if they're really innovative. And then they submit it to the underwriter, and the underwriter takes, sometimes 2 or 3 weeks to approve it. And so in the aviation space, when we were there, what we learned is that private aviators never change insurance because the process is so painful. And so if we can create this app that solves all these problems, then it also solves a problem for the insurance company, which is all of these data points that are being collected through either a paper app or something else like that. We could actually collect that digitally and then provide a button where the customer can just click a quote button and then get a price. And because we already have all of that perfect telematics data from them, we will be able to offer a quote without any form or any type of information that the pilot has to fill out.
Just amazing, amazing, amazing. This hits like almost all of my nerdiness except for the magic side. Uh, amazing, 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 amazing. All right. Um, so let me get my thoughts together. So because I stopped uh without my private pilots, I never experienced the pain that you're describing. Okay, otherwise I would have identified this pain and not had the amazing idea you had. But basically, okay, so because our listeners are insurance people, not aviation people, let's make sure that the insurance people understand. Okay, correct me
Mhm.
if I'm wrong. So Tony just got his private pilot's license or has had it forever because he grew up in a family that did that kind of thing. Okay. Which I think is the case with you, but we'll talk about that. Okay. So Tony finally has his private pilot license, uh, and is renting hours on a Cessna or is crazy enough to buy his own plane, which some people do. because it is doable if you buy an old plane. Um, and what he wants to do is fly, right? He's a like he ran his recruiting company, his podcast, his magic company, et cetera, et cetera. It's finally the weekend, and it's freaking Fourth of July weekend coming up, right? The
Yeah,
next
it
weekend,
is.
right? Like what he's gonna do, what Tony's gonna do this Fourth of July weekend, this alternate reality where he did do that instead of pursuing magic, um, and he's not afraid of heights, uh, is go like burn a bunch of money, have a few $100 burgers, uh, and they might be $125 burger, $150 burger. I don't know nowadays. But basically, like what I want to do is fly, right? So
Mhm.
I park my sexy red convertible Porsche Boxster that I drive in this fantasy, not the 2012 Prius that I drive in reality, which has an INS nerd plate. Uh, and I park it I just drove 45 minutes out of Atlanta because I live close to the Atlanta International Airport, not the hobby airport, wherever that is. It's like an hour out. Uh, so anyway, I get there, the weather is beautiful. There's not a cloud in the sky. And as I walk in, the company that is renting the operator that is renting me the plane, the right goes, okay, I need to see your insurance. I'm not flying for the next 3 weeks while I wait for paperwork. Uh,
Exactly.
you've just ruined my summer, basically.
Kind of.
Basically, right? So now, fast forward a month later, right? It's now Labor Day. I do now have that, a piece of paper that says have insurance kind of thing. Um, and I have a very slight mishap at landing, something that is covered. I caused a little bit of damage to the plane, a little bit more than my deductible, right? I end up filing a small claim, and my experience is horrific, like so horrific that this fictional insurance company takes forever to cover it. They fight me over every little detail. Like my premium immediately goes up. Like they insulted my mama in the process, right? Like it was just awful. Getting the insurance was so painful that I just stay with them. Okay.
Right.
So now for some part of the insurance industry, that extreme level of customer retention is a good thing. For the
Right.
user, that's a really bad thing. And for the competing insurance companies that have a better product that is a better fit for me, that's a bad thing. For the industry, I
Exactly.
believe that's a bad thing. That it should be easier. Okay, so
And
now,
that's why the insurance company was going to fail on day one because we had no reason for them to switch.
perfect. So now Aviator Ops Ally, I believe, is a very brand new company. So I don't know. We'll talk about where are you in the process, but the vision, right? It is 2030. You guys have been in operation for 5 years, right? Um, and Tony has had his private pilots for 4 years. Um, and I've been with the same company because they treated me well for 4 years, but I'm annoyed at them for whatever reason. So I want a quote. I'm about to leave. No, I'm pulling into the parking lot, but I'm a little bit early because I'm like and this is a real part of the story. I am the kind of guy that it shows up at the airport 2 hours early, right? I'm too early. It's still dark. I only have private pilots. I cannot fly while it's dark, right? Uh, so someday I will, but today I only have my private pilots. Uh, so I show up. I have half an hour before they open the door and I can get my plane because it's still dark outside. What does it look like for me to get a quote?
So if you've been flying for a few years and you have this app, but you haven't decided to change insurance companies, then there's going to be a little button in the corner because you're a good pilot. You're
And
you're
then hold
doing
on. And I have this app not because I'm a giant insurance nerd, which I am in reality,
right.
but in this alternative version. Okay, I have this app because it's been doing stuff for me unrelated to the insurance.
Right.
Yeah.
It's solving all your pain points and allowing you to park your car. And then even if you're early, you can still take off and not have as many pain points as what you would do when you normally pull up to the airport. And so aviators are going to they're it's a really close knit group. They're going to talk to each other. It's going to spread like wildfire, and they're going to be excited about this app that does everything for them. And so in 2030 you're going to have this app on your phone, and you're going to see this little button in the corner. It says get a quote, and you're going to be like, huh, I wonder what that means. Like, click it, and you just automatically get a price for new insurance. You get to check what types of coverages you want, because there are a lot of different coverages. And the sad part is most of the time you have to get 2 to 3 different carriers just to cover all of your aviation insurance needs. So it's not only one company. You're
Oh,
talking
I
to a
didn't know
broker.
that.
Yes, it's even worse. It's even worse.
So
You
basically, it's not a package policy. It's
absolutely
not
not.
there yet. Okay, May Sunday, get it there, please. Okay, so basically, I have a whole policy for the plane itself, with a scary deductible. Uh, Number two, I have a liability policy. What is the third?
The third is hangar insurance, and or if you don't own your own plane, it's basically renter insurance. Non-owner or pilot insurance. You also have engine like overhaul insurance. So it's like a warranty. There's different things because these are really expensive costs. Like imagine having to get your entire vehicle engine overhauled after a certain number of hours of driving it. So the worst thing that's going to happen if you don't get an oil change on time on schedule is you pull over, you call AAA or whatever. And in the plane, while you're in the air, you're not just going to pull over when you have something go wrong. You're literally in a life or death situation, and only the best pilots are going to survive that, right? So what you're faced with is a group of people who are highly incentivized to maintain that schedule. But the problem is they have to maintain those hours themselves. So one of the pain points that our app is going to solve is you will be able to track all of those hours automatically, and it will give you a reminder, hey, you need to schedule this regular maintenance. Would you like to do that through the app? If yes,
Radically important. So
hmm,
not only does it keep me legal to fly,
right.
it
FAA
keeps
is very strict.
exactly, it keeps me alive.
Exactly.
Because of the difference in my Prius going 6,000 miles without an oil change or 10,000 miles without an oil change might become an expensive mistake, especially if it wasn't the Prius, right?
Right.
The Porsche going 10,000 miles without an oil change is an expensive mistake. Uh,
Not life
it,
or death mistake
it's
though.
not likely not a life of death mistake in my life, right? The Cessna going over its required maintenance is a life or death mistake, and I might take not only myself out but somebody out on the ground. So yes, the FAA is very. So I'm not gonna fly if that stuff. So I'm gonna take that seriously. I'm extremely ADHD. The app reminds me that that's the last. I will have that app on my phone forever.
And even as a pilot, you have to get medical exams on a regular basis. I've known several people that I've talked to about this app who have, within days, were about to expire. And it's a very hard process if you let it expire. So they're stressing about getting to a doctor in the next 2 days, trying to get their medical review done and completed in
Yeah.
time.
So
So they keep
I have a super quick story. Uh, this dumb, you know what? Um, Allowed his global entry to expire one time, which in global entry is not that big of a deal. Global entry is nice, but I don't travel abroad that much, right? The problem is global entry is how I get pre-check. So my
okay.
pre-check expired. That
Oh,
in my life is a big deal. right? It was not an expensive lesson to learn. It was a painful lesson to learn because it took 3 months to get it back. So for 3 months, I had to fly as much as I fly without preaching. Never again,
Wow.
never again happening. Anyway, so I can only imagine what it's like to for your FAA health, whatever it's called, to expire. Okay, continue.
Yeah, so so you're standing with me and the other plebes in the general line because we don't fly enough.
And I fly like I'm a million miler from 2 years ago. I'm at 1.2 million miles. I'm platinum every year. I'm diamond this year. Might be the last time in my life, but I'm platinum every year. Yes. And I live in Atlanta. People hate the Atlanta airport because they don't know how to fly out of the Atlanta airport. In my life, with pre-check, global entry, status, clear, like I have everything I can legally have, like short of getting like going to work for Delta, right? Short of
Right.
as a commercial pilot, short of becoming a flight attendant in my life after insurance, which I'll never leave insurance. You get what I'm saying? Short of being a crew, this is the fastest anybody can go through the thing. I go through in like 45-second flats. If there's not a line, if there's a line, I never take more than like 10 minutes to security in Atlanta. In Atlanta, with nothing, you can be looking at hours, right?
Right.
Which is why people hate that airport. I love it. Anyway, so I paid a heavy price for that. Continue.
So yeah, the app reminds you of these things. It helps you stay safe, and there's going to be an education component to it as well. So not only do we want to be in the space to help pilots, we also want to help pilots in the way of education. Like these are the things you need to do. These are the checklists. And so another pain point is every time before you fly, you have to check your plane.
Oh yeah,
There's
yeah, yes, yes, yes. You have to do the walk around.
exactly. There's a checklist, you have to inspect it, and you have an incentive to do this because, again, if there's any imperfections or defects, literally a hail ding in your wing could mess you up for your whole
And
flight.
insurance people. Okay, so the actuaries listening. By the way, Kyle is a fellow actuary. To you guys, not I'm not an actuary. I'm a CPC. You're not an actuary. Okay, so to the actuaries listening, the actuaries are high C's, high conscientious people. And actuaries are very careful with their checklists, regardless of whether they're flying or not, right? But for the sales managers listening, or right for the high eyes, we are not careful with our checklists, right? In aviation, if you're not careful with your checklist, number one, you don't get your license, and number two, you die. So
Exactly.
they are very careful with their checklists. Okay, continue.
So the checklist is you were exactly right on. I got my associateship back in 2016, and fast forward another, it took me about 8 years to get it. And then fast forward another 8 years, now I'm starting my own insurance company. And so risk, I see it everywhere. Like people see a trampoline, and I'm like, okay, that's a risk. I see a pool in the backyard, that's a big risk. Like these are all things, and I know the factors that homeowners insurance companies charge for these risks or either add to their underwriting rules. So everything that I see about a plane, flight, and all that, it's all risk, right? And so what we're trying to do is not only help the aviators save pain points, we're also trying to help them be safer as they fly. So one of the components of the app is going to be a checklist. So each plane has its own checklist from the manufacturer. And so
By the way,
what
if I'm not mistaken, for the most part, checklists today for GA planes, for general aviation planes, are handled through literal paper checklists. Is that
So there was probably some technology there where you can
okay?
download an app for your plane specifically, or
Uh-huh.
the manufacturer provides it. Or, I'm not sure what that looks like for each
Okay.
plane, but
Okay.
I have to imagine that there's some digital form of this. But yes, if you're not super tech savvy, then you're probably doing it by paper or doing it by memory, which if you're like me, I don't know about you, but like relying on my own memory to remember every single point in the checklist, well, it's going to be in the app. So all you do is literally open that checklist option of the app, and you have the list for you for your plane, specifically your tail number. And one of the cool things about this is you're
You
going
said
to go,
something interesting. Your tail number. What that
yes,
implied to me, that's why I'm interrupting. What that implied to me is that not every Cessna 152 or every Cessna 172 Skyhawk, and I do apologize if I get one of those numbers wrong. I'm very sleep deprived, and
no,
I've been busy with Magic, not Flight Simulator lately. Uh, but so not every one, Skyhawk has the same checklist, is what you're implying. It is like dependent on my very specific plane.
right. Because if you have an avionics component that your other plane doesn't, then
Yes. Okay, so basically, if Tony does buy his own plane, and then had such a great year in recruiting and Magic and everything else I do last year that I literally gutted that thing and put sexy brand new all glass, right? The dream, right? I didn't even go Garmin. No, no. In fact, you know what? I won the freaking lottery, so I am no longer flying the Cessna. I'm now flying the one that has the parachute. Right, and it's brand new, by the way. So anyway, either way, if I just put glass into my old plane, I need new checklists. Okay, continue.
so the checklist will be automatic, but it's even better than that. Like there is a company out there that, unlike when you take photos of your vehicle, they actually take a video, and you basically take the video with your cell phone as you walk around the plane, and it'll identify any imperfections through the video.
Does that exist today at all, or is
It
that like
literally,
okay?
yes, that
Okay,
is one of the tech vendors that I met at the aviation conference,
that is awesome. Okay,
and they're
continue.
excited about partnering with us.
Oh, that is triple awesome. Uh-huh.
So they will help you with your checklist by doing this video inspection, and they'll point out any imperfections for you through their video technology. And so that simplifies your checklist by a long degree because you have to visually inspect everything. Well, you're visually inspecting it with your phone and your app, and oftentimes, if your eyes are, sleep deprived or not coffee ready, then you might miss something. And because we are humans, we are imperfect, but the video is able to detect everything on the screen. And it's like it's like having an assistant. So,
If um for any ADHD pilots out there, which I'm hoping to someday become one of you. I don't know. I kind of hope that there's not a lot of pilots that are ADHD like me, but if you are, this literally saves your life, right? Like
sure,
I again like with my level of ADHD, it's not a matter of I don't realize it's important and I'm not being careful. Even if I'm being extremely careful, I can miss things in a checklist, right? Like
sure.
I can't tell you how careful I am every freaking morning when I upload my the podcast episode to make sure that the name of the person and the company is correct in the video. And I get it wrong on average once a week. And I had to re-render and re-upload the damn thing. Usually because the person messages me and goes like, my name is incorrectly spelled, right? Autocorrect one again, and a funny insurtech name ended up becoming a normal English word, right? Uh, anyway, so and I'm trying with like effort every morning as I'm editing, or every evening as I'm editing, and I get it wrong 1/4 of the time. Or 1/5 of the time. So yes, I like as an ADHD aviator, an automated way to do that double checks my work using AI, using an image, uh, can save my life.
Yeah, for sure.
So I would
So
happily pay for that subscription if I was an active fire pilot. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, so I'm speaking your language, and I appreciate that because it's even better to connect with. So a lot of people get the idea, like once you explain it, like the pain points, then it becomes easy to understand why this app is going to be useful to pilots. But because when I'm talking to an aviator, even if they haven't received their license yet, like the fact that you like flying simulators, it puts you above, a lot of people. And as far as like what it's like to be up there in a simulation. Now, I will say this, a little bit of a divergence about your fear of heights. So there is this funny thing when you're up in the air called turbulence. You can't see it, and that's probably maybe a little bit triggering because it's scary in a Boeing when you start shaking. But you're like, you know what? The number of planes that experience turbulence in the air, commercial flights, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be safe. Even though I watched a movie last night
My
about a plane that wasn't.
my discovery flight 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago, um, was a beautiful, completely cloudless Georgia sky. My brother was, I think it was September, because it was my brother's second visit. September, it had to be Labor Day weekend. Okay, so a beautiful cloudless Georgia sky. And the guy that I sat in the front, my brother sat in the back of the Skyhawk, and the instructor sat, in the controls. Well, we both had controls, so that's the way they works, right? But he was the one flying. I did a little bit of the usual thing, um, and we suffered what I would describe, and I have flown a million miles on Delta, right? Plus other airlines, plus abroad. Okay, like abroad when I can't get on a Sky Team partner. And I have fun on a lot of little Delta planes because I used to live in Des Moines, Iowa. I used to live in Columbus, Ohio. Okay, not anymore. Nowadays, usually like a Boeing or bigger.
So you know
Like
what turbulence feels like, is what you're saying.
exactly. I know what turbulence, and I am not afraid of turbulence in a commercial. What I experienced in that Boeing, I would describe as the worst turbulence of my life. I screamed like, I want to say like a girl, but that saying is kind of sexist. I screamed like I've never screamed in my life. Uh, I saw my life flash in front of my eyes. Uh, when it calmed down a couple seconds later, which felt like 15 minutes, I inquired with the pilot as to whether, right, and like, by the way, so anybody who's not actually been in a Cessna or other small plane, you have headphones, like big ass headphones, and you can't hear anything that doesn't go through the headphones, right? It's way too loud up there, right? Like it's way too loud. Okay. Um, so I inquired, "Are we okay?" And he was like, "What do you mean?" And I'm like, "After the turbulence," and he goes like, "What turbulence?" Right? Like from his perspective, this wasn't even turbulence. Right? This is just normal, everyday, beautiful day flying. To me, it felt like the worst turbulence of my life. Right? Like thank God I like peed before getting on the plane, kind of thing. Like there's a reason I have not gone back to actually get my private pilots. Right? Uh, yes. So yes. Anyway, continue.
Okay, so then I'm about to put all of your worries aside, and we're gonna get you that pilot license because one of the things in this app that I'm most excited about is we're going to integrate with a company called SkyPath. It's out of Tel Aviv, and
Of course they are.
if you've ever seen, well, you don't see this because you're
Uh,
on Delta, and Delta is the only commercial airline that doesn't use SkyPath, by the way. SkyPath, if you're ever on another flight and you see the pilot with an iPad, walking around with an iPad, that iPad is SkyPath. And what that means is this company in Tel Aviv, uh, I met the CEO at this aviation conference. Her name is Myra. She's awesome. We had lunch together and I told her about this app. And I told her, I want your product in our app to be integrated with it. And she loved the idea. She wants to partner with us. She created through machine learning a way to detect all turbulence around the globe because every time there's a SkyPath app in the air in a commercial flight, it is gathering data and it's sending it to their database. And they are collecting all of this data live around the world for every single commercial flight except Delta. And they are mapping the entire globe's turbulence out 12 hours in advance. And so what they do is, if you ever heard this, we're being diverted to X, Y, and Z, and because of, we're going to avoid some turbulence. Well, they've been trying to break into the private aviator space, and we're going to help them do that. So each subscriber of this app is going to get SkyPath through the app, and so private aviators will have the exact same thing on their phone. And what it does is it will allow you to see turbulence without your eyes with through the app, and it will give you a warning before you start flying through it in your Cessna, and it will tell you to go above, below, to the left, or to the right. It'll help plan out the path that will help you avoid said turbulence. And so, as a private aviator, and I've heard this story more than once, like when you're in a Boeing and you start shaking, you're like, okay, this is a little bit uncomfortable. I shouldn't be walking down the aisle. I might bump my head or something like that. But you still feel that level of safety because these planes are built for, like, way worse than that. The Cessna is also built for way worse than that, but it feels a lot more
Now, I'm
violent.
gonna pause you super quick. Number one, we are living in the future. That sounds amazing. Number
Yes.
two, Delta, my dear, please, come on. Let's play ball. Let's play ball. Come on.
We can skip over that part.
Come
I know
on.
you're a
Yeah.
fan.
Um, come on, guys. Okay. I wish I remembered the CEO's name. Bastian. I think it's the last name. He's on the freaking thing on the safety message every time I fly. I know this. I'm just tired. Come on, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not that I
So
don't, but come on. Ed Bastian.
the
I think it's Ed Bastian. I think it is. Uh, Ed, come on, come on. Okay.
right.
Also, quick note. Sorry, for anybody who's afraid of commercial flying, because there are people like that.
Mhm.
Um, it's safer than driving. The most dangerous
Absolutely.
part of your flight was the drive to the airport, right?
Right.
The actuary will tell you. Uh, and not only that, my brother-in-law is a Delta pilot, very experienced at this point. And the way he's described it to our family is planes, commercial planes in the US especially, but commercial planes do not fall out of the sky because of turbulence, right? Regardless of how bad the turbulence is, that the pilot is not concerned about it. You might be screaming, this the pilot's not concerned about it. What causes accidents are other things, not like turbulence. So anyway, so it might feel awful to you. You are safe.
Right.
It, so yes, the Cessna is built for turbulence. The problem is in a Cessna. Okay, people, unless you've been in a Cessna, you do not understand how small this plane is. Right? Like I spent decades of my life in flight simulator. I had seen a Cessna in person. I had been within a few feet of a Cessna until I got in one for my discovery flight. I had complained to Microsoft that the virtual reality version, because I'm a VR nerd too, by the way, that the virtual reality version felt really cramped. And the answer, I had complained on like Reddit or something, and the answer had been, "Have you actually been in a Cessna?" I went and did my discovery flights. It is accurate. Like I'm 5'7", and like a Cessna is teeny. Okay, anyway, continue.
Yeah, so it's funny because the CEO of SkyPath was there at the conference at the same time that the chief legal officer of Delta was there, who was talking about different types of claims like turbulence. Um, to the point, the SkyPath CEO's Myra, she was actually the keynote speaker there, and she was talking about the industry as a whole in the United States has about $7 to $8 billion in payments for injuries um, due to turbulence in commercial flights. And so, and that might have been a global number. I actually think that was a global number, but they are saving a significant portion of that with the SkyPath app because they're avoiding that turbulence that causes you to shake. And if you're by the window and you're sleeping and you like knock your head, then unfortunately, today's world, even if you don't sustain like serious injury or you're still going to want a little bit of a payment from that. So a lot of times those are in credits or whatever, but it still costs the airline a significant amount of money every single year. And so, but from a data perspective, Myra wants to get into Delta because number one,
This is the
if she's
best airline in the US, period. Come on.
right, yeah. From a completeness perspective. And by the way, I flew Delta as a child. I think that was my preferred airline as well. When I was a child, I would either fly Southwest or Delta. And so um, that was, I think it was ironic that those two people were at that conference at the same time, talking about the risk of turbulence.
Oh, I don't know Myra. Myra, I'd love to chat. In fact, love to have you on the podcast. This is pretty cool.
Okay,
Um,
yeah, I'll
but,
introduce you and have her.
without knowing Myra, make no mistake, Myra made sure to be there because the Delta guy was going to be there. By the way, I remember that I have three actually, incredible devices connected to all the world's knowledge. One in which I'm recording with you, one in which I have your LinkedIn and other stuff open, and one on in my hand. So I did Google it, and I have the name correct. The CEO of Delta is Ed Bastian. I am proud of that. Okay, the
Nice.
fact that
Good
I
job.
got that correct. Okay, so yes, come on. Okay, so that is super cool that they're
Yeah.
making that out, and that will eventually be available through this amazing app that you're building.
Yep.
Now, are you also solving the $100 burger problem? And is it still 100 or is it like 150 nowadays?
Probably with inflation, I don't know, it's 150 at
Okay.
least.
So is the app also solving that problem, or you're leaving that
Yes.
until
There will
after?
be a special Tony Kanyas button that says where to find a less than $100 awesome burger.
So for non-aviators out there, basically, like if you fly GA planes, you're potentially going to some airports that are not really commercial airports. So they're only reachable by they only exist, and even the word airport is maybe a misnomer. You do going to some airfields that are really only reachable by general aviation planes, and the restaurants the in those don't have to be fancy, but it can be a greasy spoon. They know they have a captive audience. They know they have
Absolutely.
right. If you think concerts are expensive, they have a captive audience who has enough money to fly their own plane, or to like, who has enough money to have a private pilot's license and to buy flight hours at least every once in a while, and to keep their license active, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, that has some disposable income. And by the way, when they're flying, this is likely like they're relaxed. This is when they're having fun and they're more like so. Anyway,
Yeah. It's the
infamously,
bonding time.
exactly. So infamously, you end up paying $100 for a burger, right? And that like $100 burger phrase is actually like from years and years ago. So I haven't checked lately, but it might be the $150 burger, right? Okay, so okay, continue. Uh, so I think unless there's other like important features, I think we made it very clear that yes, this will become like almost inevitably will become a quite simply like I'm trying to find it will become the Uber app, right? Like I'm trying to think of one app that every white collar professional in this country has in their phone is the Uber app. And lots of blue collar professionals like every human that every white collar professional in this country has the Uber app in their phone, right? And most of them have Lyft also. Okay, but the point is like we all have it because every once in a while we all need to I do it all the time. You might only do it once a quarter, but every once in a while you need to get a taxi equivalent, and it's just so much easier to do that depending on which city you're in, right?
Right.
Okay, so for aviators, it should, like, the marketer in me is convinced, the marketer and the psychologist in me is convinced that this is just will become a thing that every aviator has, every GA aviator,
Well,
and we can sell them insurance the right way.
Well, with numbers, I will kind of show you where our target is. There's a little over 160,000 licensed private aviators in the United States. We're targeting 100,000 of them to have this app. So we have big goals.
All right, so I need to use my computer to do that math. You don't. That's 62.5%. Okay. So you're aiming for a 62% reach within the GA aviator community for like by when?
Exactly. There's also 350,000 student pilots. And so once we get this app going, not only do we want the insurance side of it to help private aviators, we also want to help students reach their goal of getting the private pilot license.
Hold,
So a
hold,
lot of
hold on,
people
hold
fall
on,
out.
hold on. There are more student pilots than licensed pilots?
Yeah, by over double.
Why?
I think the barrier to entry, you have to get a certain number of hours to get your private pilot license, and not just be a student. And so I'm guessing a lot of people stall out. Life happens, situations, things like
Got it.
that.
Okay, that makes sense. Yes. Yeah, the survival rate of actually getting it is low. I know that. Okay, that makes sense.
Now, I don't know what the statistic is for active student licenses versus inactive student licenses. Um, you have to maintain a certain amount of hours and flights and things like that. Or maybe people just want to rent on the weekend and rent from a flight school and they're good with that. And
Oh, okay. So yeah. So there's probably people who like don't actually want to get the private pilots. They want to be able to go up in the air with an instructor when they feel like it, and they don't need more than that.
right.
Makes sense. Also, fantastic. All right. So how will the app help students?
So this would be more of a phase two thing, but what it'll do is we're going to try to create an insurance product for flight schools where all the people in the flight school and all of the users will have the app. And what that'll do is help track how those students are flying. And kind of like a telematics device, it'll try to gamify how well you're flying. Like if you're getting instrument rating or if you're getting visual rating for your flight, it'll tell you how well you're doing as far as staying on your path. Like, because every single flight, unlike driving your vehicle, you don't have to tell a government entity the path that you're going to drive every single time you take a trip. You do when you're flying. And the funny thing about the aviation space versus the auto space, which is where I'm natively from, in an insurance perspective, um, if auto had the same level of telematics that aviation had, imagine every single vehicle, every single insurance company having access to Tesla level data from every single vehicle. That is how good the telematics right now are on planes. So we just need to get all of that information into one spot. And the other thing, pilots have to log their hours. This app is going to do that for them automatically because we're going to tie the pilot license and with the Sky Path app integration, we're going to be able to tie the pilot to the plane. So we know where the plane goes because of radar. We know the tail number, everything. You can look up every single flight for every single plane in the United States if you know their tail number. That is free and available. You can Google it. It's called FlightAware. We don't know who the pilot is. This app will because it'll verify the pilot's license. And when you have that app with you, it'll match the app path with the flight aware path. and then we'll know where the pilot is as well as the plane. And so what that does for the pilot is it helps them not only log their hours for maintenance, it also helps them log their hours for like you have to log your hours as a pilot, and it's kind of like an extra step if you have a driver's license, having to log every single trip that you took in your car. They're just so next level with their data, and we're going to have access to that through the app. And that's why we're going to be able to provide quotes without them having to put in any extra information, because we're going to know how well are they doing the checklist? How well are they keeping maintenance on their airplane? How well are they flying? And they're going to have their flight path mapped out. How well are they keeping with that flight path? There's rules about how high you can fly and what direction you're flying. That way, planes aren't, having mid-air collisions. If you're following all those rules, you're going to get a very, very good rate, and you're not going to have to fill out any information for that. So,
But by the way, insurance people, this is two insurance nerds who are also aviation nerds trying very hard to not go too deep into the weeds of what we're talking about. And and for an actuary, this is an impressive effort, by the way, because it has to be hurting you. You have to be like, I want to like get
yes.
uh I want to read the chart to you. So,
Exactly.
you do a fantastic job. Uh, all right. Uh, I'm always curious on the origin story. Uh, but before we get to the origin story, what is missing? So you just launched. We're recording on June 30th, and according to LinkedIn, you guys launched June 2025. So you
Exactly.
launched like a couple of weeks ago. So the vision is amazing. The website is up, flywithaoa.com. It is a shell of a website right now, which you launched 2 weeks ago. Uh, what has to happen to make this vision a reality?
So we have to get the tech stack right because we want a product that people are going to want to use. And I am very picky. I've been working with insurance UIs for almost my entire career. And I have become so sensitive to an extra click or having to drag my mouse from one screen to the side of the screen to the other. Like anything that is a pain point that could be solved through better technology, it's something that is near and dear to my heart. And so I want this user experience to be perfect and flawless. Now, perfection is the enemy of progress. So we're going to have an MVP. It's not going to have every single thing that we have that we talked about today. It's going to be a work in progress. But when we put something out there for people to start downloading, it will solve problems, and we will continue to improve and iterate. Beta testing and all of that will definitely be, and we're going to listen to the customer. Like the customer in this respect is always right because their user experience is going to be what defines whether they use it or not. And so I might have a certain idea as an actuary who's in insurance, but my perspective is not that of a private pilot aviator because who doesn't have all of that background. And so we did launch just now. We're in exploratory phase um, at that conference, and we've been doing market research. We've been trying to figure out market fit. And so we wanted to build a product that customers actually wanted instead of building a product that we hoped customers would use. And so that's why the origin story is a little bit weird. It's kind of backwards because we started doing all this research, all this stuff before we even started the company. But now that we're ready to start the company and we've done that research and we know what the market fit is, it's time to run. And we are going to connect with all of these tech partners that I spoke about. We're going to get them integrated into the app. We're going to get the app running. The website is basically going to be a vehicle that just points to the app, and it's going to describe the pain points. We're going to do some crowdfunding through the website because I can't pay for all of this out of my own pocket. So we're going to have some crowdfunding. And my goal, my dream is that aviators will see this and they'll be so bought in
I can
that they
see
will
that.
actually want to invest in the company. And they're going to be the best marketing arm that this company will ever see, are the people who are going to use this app. And there is a special surprise. I'm not going to let you know right now, but anybody that invests in our company is going to be very happy once we succeed and hit our target, and they will be paid back a significant amount more than what they invested as our way of showing appreciation. The website will have more details on that, and I'm excited to see how it goes.
Crowdsourcing, super interesting. I don't know the aviation community. I mean, they have disposable income because otherwise they wouldn't fly privately. Not privately. They would have a private pilots, right? Um, um, and this would remove a pain point for us, or many pain points for them. So it makes so much sense that they would want to do this. Are you also open at this point to like angel investment and to VC? What are you thinking on that side?
No to VC, and I'll tell you why. Very simple answer. VC money is not going to be interested in this company because the total addressable market, TAM, if you're in the industry, they are looking for companies that will hit 1B. That's 1 billion. If you don't have a path to $1 billion in 3 to 5 years, no VC company or investor will ever be interested in this. And the entire addressable market in the insurance world for private aviation, again, it's 160,000 aviators who have their license, 350 students. There's flight schools out there. It's all different kinds of insurance. And if you're only looking at hull and liability, which is basically your auto version of comp collision and liability coverage, um, that space is less than $1 billion in the United States. Like the
Perfect.
entire, so auto insurance is over 300 billion.
Kev,
Aviation less than $1 billion. So we'll even if we get 100% market share, we'll never hit $1 billion. So VC money will never be
perfect.
in.
So now, angel investor that happens to, and I could totally see this. I'm
Yeah.
guessing so some of the like it's a very very good guess that the
Mhm.
Venn diagram of angel investors who came from the tech world, which is the case for most angel investors, and private
We're
pilot.
also pilots.
I'm guessing that Venn diagram is a little bigger than the magician, podcaster, insurance nerd Venn diagram, which is an N of one, right? Uh, so yes, I'm guessing so okay. So angel investors, you go okay, perfect. Okay. Um, what is the goal for an MVP? Are we talking an MVP middle of next year or the like? And I know it's
Um,
super. We've covered this is super early. Things will change.
yeah.
I'm just curious if there's a target you can share.
I'm hoping to get the MVP out there before the end of the year.
Fantastic.
I came from a startup world where things move fast. For
Hmm.
example, as an actuary, I have to file rates with the Department of Insurance. Before I started at this startup, I would do 4 to 6 filings per year. And a filing is basically one state, one product. So auto insurance in Texas, for example. I would file a rate change and change rates. That would be a filing. It has to get approved by the Department of Insurance, and once it's approved, then you can implement it. 4 to 6 per year was like really good. Four was how much you were expected to do. Six was you were doing a lot extra, right? I did 65 rate changes for my startup in less than 2 years. And so the speed at which we were able to innovate and implement is so next level compared to most insurance companies. So that is the expectation that I have on myself as far as being able to get this product going. It's going to be dependent on the integrations, and this is out of my control. So hopefully we can get those tech integrations into the app before the end of the year. However, we're working with companies who have full control over how we integrate with their technology. So that being the caveat, I would like to get the app, an MVP of the app ready for beta testing by the end of the year. And if we can't do that, then we're going to have some more pain points to solve on our end. But this is an idea that I feel the nice thing is, okay, in order to get insurance nerdy again, A/B testing. Marketers do it, insurance companies do it. It's basically a way of determining which path is better, A or B. And you use data to determine it. And so, for the audience that doesn't know about A/B testing, very simply put, the crowdfunding is our A/B test. Either people like the idea of the app and they will fund it, either $10, $100, $1,000, it doesn't matter until we hit our goal. Like either people are going to fund it because they like everything they hear about the app, or they're not going to be interested because they don't feel like it's a viable solution. And we will know from day one before we even build the product or spend any money that it's not a viable product. So, as much market research as we've done, this is going to be our big A/B test is the crowdfunding. And so if that doesn't work, then guess what? The market spoke and they said that they don't want it.
The idea is amazing, amazing. Uh, why why are you the right people to build it? Uh, right, yeah. What is your back? So your background in insurance actuary. What is your background with aviation?
So my background with aviation started when I was 6 years old. I saw a plane fly over our house and I asked my dad, "What is that?" He said, "It's a fighter jet pilot," because we live near an Air Force base. In near Albuquerque, New Mexico. By the way, a little bit of a tangent. I lived in Albuquerque for the first few years of my life, and then me and my dad moved to Texas. So when I say I was raised in Texas, I wasn't born there. So to any true Texan, I'm not a true Texan because I wasn't born there.
You have to
My
be five
son,
generations back to be a true Texan.
correct. My grandfather was. My son is a true Texan. So there's a few generations in between, but the the desire to become a pilot, a fighter jet pilot specifically, and the reason why I'm wearing my Top Gun shirt is because that's my favorite movie. And so fast forward to when I was 10-ish, when the movie came out, it was our favorite movie. We would watch it every Friday night, having pizza together, my dad and I. And it basically fueled the fire of me wanting to be a fighter jet pilot. Fast forward to when I was 18, actually, when I was 12, my dad got me my first pilot license or pilot lessons as a student. And I was flying when I was 12. So I was flying a Cessna when I was 12 and the
So
instructor first
envious.
flight.
So envious.
I did so well because I have an actuarial brain and I always had an actuarial brain. I just didn't know about it until I had to change careers. But I did so well in that flight that he let me do a touch and go with his hands off as a 12-year-old.
If anybody's wondering, this I was 40 at the time. This 40-year-old did not get to do a touch and go on his one and only Discovery flight, especially after yelling like a madman over a little bit of movement.
He totally heard you. He was just being nice and trying to downplay it.
Okay, so you are a natural for flying.
I was going to go to the Air Force Academy. I even had a congressional nomination to get in, but my eyesight kept me out. So my dreams of being an aviator kind of died until, ironically, I moved back to Albuquerque and I fell in love with aviation after going to this conference. And before then, even before then, my son and I started doing hot air balloon, which is a form of aviation.
Huh?
Um,
It's a lot of
uh,
fun.
unpowered. And so my son is actually getting his hot air balloon pilot license as we speak. He just went
Uh,
to grade school a couple of weeks
is
ago.
is this the same son that's also a magician?
Yep,
This dude
exactly.
is a lot of fun. Okay,
I
continue.
know, right?
Somebody did a great job raising him.
I know. Appreciate the compliment. He is getting his pilot license for hot air balloons as we speak. I'm going to get my private aviator license as soon as I have a moment to breathe, because starting your own company is a lot of work, but it's worth it. I find more joy in this in my life and my personal life than anything else I've ever done because it connects insurance, which I love, and aviation, which I've been passionate about since I was 6 years old. So,
I Having a mission is an amazing thing. And anybody that listened this deep into the recording, because we have to be like an hour in or more, anybody who listened this deep into the recording, uh, yeah, you're a real nerd. You wouldn't have listened this deep if you weren't. Okay.
right.
Uh, having Finding something that you're passionate about and being able to make it your day job is an amazing thing. It takes an
Yeah.
incredible amount of work, right? I was extremely lucky with Insurance Nerds 10 years ago. I found a mission. Now, a mission that we've never figured out how to really monetize, but whatever. Then the recruiting firm, Top Hat Recruiting, also a mission that I love and actually like supports me. So I work for myself because it supports me. And actually, like Insurance Nerds, the podcast is the number one source of business for the recruiting firm, which actually supports me. So eventually it all came together. And then recently Magic. And it yes, it feels it feels amazing to find the things. And I went semi-pro with Magic this year and I have the tools to go pro, like quit my day job and go do it. I'm not gonna do that, but I know exactly how to do it if I wanted to do it. Uh, there is something really amazing, and it does that. The old line of do something you love, and you'll never work a day in your life is so true. Right.
For
And
sure.
that's the beauty of entrepreneurship. If you are doing it for the right reasons and in something that is a perfect fit for who you are. This sounds like it's a perfect fit for who you are.
Absolutely.
So,
I
so, so
thought insurance was it for me. Like, I love insurance. I love the fact that it helps people. I love the fact that it is there in people when people need it most. And unfortunately, in the news cycle, it's been given a bad name, rightfully so, for the way companies have treated people. But that's what we're trying to change here.
in the news cycle of the last 200 plus years, like in general, we never get positive press in the mainstream press, at least not in the US, maybe in other countries. Uh, and there's many we could do a whole episode with like a psychologist or a sociologist or both on why that is. I'd love to do that, by the way. If you're listening and that is your passion, come on, let's have the conversation. Because it drives me crazy. And I have a general idea why, but it drives me crazy. Uh, all right. All right. So we've covered all the main stuff. Um, this is super exciting. Super exciting. I'm so thrilled for you. Uh,
Thanks.
and
Thanks for having me on. This is great.
oh,
I
my
love this.
pleasure, my pleasure. And it actually worked out really well for the listeners. So I slept 3 hours last night on a plane, right? Like on a because Present Tony is the one that books the flights for future Tony, and present Tony forgets every time that he will become future Tony, right? So I do the following every freaking time. Oh, the cheapest flight out is the very first flight of the morning, and also I know that, and I'm self-employed nowadays, so even though it's tax deductible, like I do look for the cheapest on Delta. And also I know for a fact that the earliest flight of the morning is the least likely one to get delayed. So I am taking the 5 a.m. flight, even though my first meeting is at 9 p.m. Right? I am that guy. Okay. So and then on the way back, I booked the last flight of the night, and then because I have every, I am not Delta 360 Delta. If you are listening, come on, guys, come on, because that's invite only. But I am a million miler. I'm platinum most every year and diamond sometimes. I'll probably reach I don't know 2 or 3 million before I die, kind of thing. Delta, come on, make me a 360. Okay. So I've also never had the ride on the Porsche, which in some airports they do. I had somebody Like I've seen it happen to somebody else in front of me, and it wasn't me. And it's also happened to my friend Kelly Donahue Piro. Very happy for her because she flies more than I do, and she connects every time she flies because she lives in Rhode Island. I never connect, basically. Okay. Um, so I slept 3 hours last night on a plane because I was in Vegas for my second round of magic school, and it went amazing. I rented my dream car, a Porsche Boxster. It happened to be red. I had the time of my life, and then I ran like a banshee to make my flight. Barely made it in. Okay. It took me over an hour to fall asleep, even though I was exhausted, having slept like 6 hours total in the weekend.
That's the
Uh,
worst.
got home at 6 a.m. this morning, took a 45-minute nap, got up, and recorded this podcast. So poor Kyle, I got on the call and I talked his ear off for 20 minutes before we started recording. And then at the other 20 minutes, I felt guilty. So I said, hey, do you have a meeting at the end of our meeting? Or can we go long so that you have a proper amount of time to do this podcast? And he said yes. So we've probably been on, I think we've been on this call for an hour and a half now, which means we've recorded for a little over an hour. Um, a real pleasure. I look
Hey,
forward to have you back on the show whenever you want. You have the link. Whenever there are good updates, or if there's a pivot, whatever, whenever you want, you have an open invite to come on the show to talk about this company or whatever.
thank you so
Um,
much.
um, thank you so much
I
for.
hope this is giving you the energy that you need in order to get through the rest of the day because I'm excited about this.
Yes, no, no, no. This is super, super exciting. Yes, you have, and the copious amount of caffeine that I've been drinking. In this house, we only brew Costa Rican, by the way. Costa Rican coffee, best in the world. If I was smart, because I often send people coffee as a gift. Whenever I go to Costa Rica, I come back with a suitcase worth of Costa Rican coffee, right? And then you can actually buy it on Amazon. You can buy good, and like, you have to know how to find it. But I like I know how to find it. So I will often gift people a bag of Costa Rican coffee via an Amazon delivery with a gift note. If I was smart, the next thing I would do is import Costa Rican coffee and then sell it to them. Because at this point, after doing this for like 20 years that I've been in the States, at this point I would have a captive market
You
of
could
people
be
that,
that
right? Yeah,
Amazon solution.
exactly. But I should have been, but just not like I joked about it and it's just not right. Yes, this is very, very, very exciting. Uh, any final words that you want to be on the recording because before we finish recording for today?
I just want to say I appreciate everything that you're doing in the insurance space
Thank you.
and the awareness that you bring. I'm trying to be like you and make the industry better. So I appreciate
Awesome.
you being on here.
Awesome, 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 awesome. People, if my stuff has been helpful to you over the years, every once in a while, you will get a message from me or a public post from me because I'm raising money for something like Insure Equality. Yes, I appreciate you doing it. If you donate to that, thank you. My virtual 5K or whatever, which I haven't done for a little bit, but I'll get back to it. But the biggest thing you can do is pay it forward. That's simple. And what got me going, doing all of what I do, is Jose Cruz saying, doing a big favor for me that I've talked about on several episodes, and saying, I only ask two things. Number one, don't let me down. I hope I didn't. Number two, pay it forward. Pay it forward.
I love that. That's
Uh,
perfect.
thank you for your time today.
Thanks.
This has been awesome.